Hey friends, tickets are now available for our new series of live workshops taking place in November and December. They're focused on getting coffee professionals and small business owners better prepared for 2023. There's one for coffee professionals, one for those looking to start or grow their business as a coffee consultant, and there's one for customer acquisition planning that's tailored to small business owners. Go to mapitforward.coffee/events to grab tickets or check the show notes for details. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and I'm joined by Nolan Hirte for episode 3 of a beautifully vulnerable conversation. And Nolan, before we dive into this is halfway through the series. Can I just tell you how grateful I am and recognize the amount of courage that's required to come onto a podcast and have a very frank and vulnerable conversation about a very painful experience and about a journey that has been it was of your making, but also not of your making. There were forces outside of you that influenced your journey into a specific direction. Yeah. And coming and talking about that on a podcast, I want to acknowledge that opens you up to having a whole bunch of other people have more opinions about what you're doing.
Sure. Yes.
And I really want to celebrate the courage that's involved in that, because the internet can be filled with mean motherfuckers.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, yes, it can. And I think, though, part of the warrior piece, right, is maybe not allowing that space to exist so much in your head, like to me, it's a lot of self-talk. You can go into this big, deep spiral of everyone's thinking about me and saying all this horrible stuff, maybe when something bad like that happens. But I do think if you believe in yourself and you are genuine about what it is that you're doing, it's kind of, it will be okay. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel good about where I'm at personally, and I feel good about where the industry, I'm not freaking out at all. And while, yes, maybe it was like some hard times, I think we've kind of shown that we were deadly serious about what it is that we wanted to do, and we went through and did it anyway, even though
people were showing up and at Portland and coming from all over the country and talking shit to you and doing all that kind of stuff. Like, the thing is, it's unnecessary.
I mean, it is, but you know what? Like, everyone's on their own journey, right? And you have to understand, like, when people are being hurtful, often they've been hurt.
Right.
Hurt people. And so I have some empathy for that, and I kind of understand that we, like, it's easy to throw stones and to judge and to kind of like all of that, but ultimately, the way I see it is we're actually, like, we're all one anyway. We're all one thing, and same with the planet, the way we treat the planet.
Yep.
We kind of, I feel like we grew up in this era of like, oh, it won't happen to me. It's not me polluting. Oh, no, that's not my rubbish because it's been taken away. I can't see it. Man, we have been poisoning the earth and in turn ourselves. And so you see, like, bad stuff happening, and we kind of think, well, there's a bad person. In my opinion, you know what? It's not. It's a human being.
It's a complex organism.
And it's part of it, right? Yeah. Like, it's part of the shadow, like, we've all got it. We've all got our stuff 100%. That's like, could use some work. But we're human beings. It's okay. And I don't think I would point the finger at a bad person, for example. I just think it's probably someone that's been through suffering and a lot of pain, been through some hardship, and maybe could use a healing and some
100%.
A hug. Yeah.
And a hug, absolutely. The thing I wish for this industry is that we stop our tagline at Map It Forward is conspiring to each other's success. And people who listen to this podcast are probably sick of hearing me say that phrase, conspiring to each other's success, but I'm going to keep saying it till the end of time because the alternative is horrible. The alternative is what I think that we have too much of right now. And I really want us to realize that by when other people try hard things, they're paving a way for you. They're not doing something that should threaten your existence. If anything, take it as an opportunity to prove that you can do it too and learn from them. Like most people who do hard things are happy to share their wisdom, happy to share their experience, happy to tell you how you can do it better than them and what you should look out for and what the blind spots can be, because people who have done hard things, they know how hard it is, and they're not the ones that go and throw stones at other people.
Yeah. Yes. It makes me think about, 25 years in the coffee industry and just seeing how much it's evolved and changed.
Yeah.
And how hard we had to work with what we had back in those days, and how what we had wasn't great. But we had to work really hard to make it great. And over the years, technology got better, equipment got better, coffee got better, the green got better, the producers got better at it.
The consumer has started to evolve much, right?
Yeah, to the point that it'd be a little bit I would catch myself getting irritated because of the lack of understanding of hey, you don't realize how lucky we are to have what we've got. You can bitch and moan about what isn't right now.
Right.
Don't forget where we came from. Don't forget how it used to be, because it wasn't great. And we're so blessed to have such a incredible industry. I mean, and it's, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of stuff that needs to change out there in the world to be fair, and to include all. But it's such an awesome and fun industry to be in, and I would love to think that people are enjoying themselves and having a good time. It shouldn't be the other way around, but yeah.
No, one thing I do want to recognize for all the women that are listening, and for all the people in minority groups that are listening, excuse me, this is a really difficult industry to be in.
Yeah.
If you're a woman.
Yeah.
I got to just say that off the bat. A lot of the women that are listening will recognize how hard it is.
Why does it need to be like that though, right? Like I have, I mean, you know what? It's funny, I think what we've grown up with, how everything was told to us, how we were taught on how it should be. And it makes me think about, growing up in a really white community, for example.
Okay.
All you see is white people around you. Anything different is there's fear. Yep. And innately we've had this fear over something being different. Landing in Melbourne recently, coming to visit Melbourne again, I was so stoked to just see the diversity around me again. So beautiful. And what an amazing place for children to grow up with all these beautiful different colours. And it sucks that we've been handed this stuff from our parents,
came before.
from their parents, from their yeah, exactly. I mean, this is our lifetime where we get to turn it around. And I've always loved, just for the girls, I've always loved working with women, and it's definitely not been something that I've wanted to hold people back. We've had such strong leaders in our women working for us.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it is a bummer that it's not the same, it's not as fair, and that we get treated differently. I mean, you have to say the same for, like you said, the minority groups.
Yep.
The sad bit is that, man, they're our best workers. They work the freaking hardest.
Yeah.
they're happy to go dig deep. They're not going to complain about getting the right amount of breaks. They just want to go. They're happy to be there. And it sucks that they get often taken advantage of for that, you know. So yeah, but
There,
there's a lot in that, obviously, you know.
there
There's
totally is. And
yeah.
and I guess like the perspective I'm coming from is like I'm looking the next 10 years in our industry and we're in some transformative times. We're really in some transformative times from the perspective of our workforce, as well as, you know, geopolitically, there are things that are happening that is definitely going to reshape our industry as well as economically. And I look at the next 10 years and I think like we are challenging a lot of the status quo right now. Our labor force is turning around and saying, you know what, I'm not going to do what I'm doing for the small amount of pay that I'm getting, and you're going to either pay me more or I'm going to do less. And that's a kind of like this quiet quitting aspect of things is going to be transformative to the ways that we form our businesses. People are now choosing to do Uber over becoming a barista. The gig economy is much more lucrative and much more in alignment with what the generation that's aging into our industry is choosing to do, because, you know, the pandemic was hard and I'm exhausted and I don't have what it takes within me anymore to show up and give more than what I'm required to give.
Yeah.
And if we go into this era, into the future, and maintain this kind of what I think is a somewhat toxic approach to the attitude of as an industry. You know, we've got Yanis, the CEO, who I do have to give you a shout out about something. Yanis and I had a coffee at Auntie Peg's. Well, we had about 15 coffees at Auntie Peg's in Melbourne, the CEO of SCA, and it was extraordinary. Like, I don't say that about coffee very much at all, but everything that we tried, the whole experience was extraordinary. From the coffees we drank to the environment to the way that our barista attended to us, it was worth every cent.
Thank you. I mean, let's put a pin in that, because what you were just talking about, you know, quiet quitting.
Yeah.
To me, that is the answer to quiet quitting.
Yeah, exactly.
Is a special experience.
Right.
Because you can't get that driving an Uber, and you can't get that from your laptop in the Caribbean. So more than ever, it's really important that we create spaces that hold beautiful experiences for people and create these amazing experiences so that I actually want to go to work. I want to be there. I do feel valued. I do feel acknowledged. I do feel heard. And I want to have these conversations because really, I feel like we still should be educating the market. And what is the price of coffee? Why? Can we challenge that? I mean, where's the ceiling on that?
Do you think we can have that conversation about the ceiling as we, like, is the market going to be open to that conversation as inflation continues to take hold, as the economy continues to become a real issue that's front and center for households everywhere?
Yeah. Is there any other way? I mean, if we don't pay for it, will it still be there?
Yeah, it's going to go away.
What happens to it? Well, it goes to shit, right? It becomes a crap product. Is that what you want? I don't think so. And so, more than ever, I think we need to reach higher and kind of really lean into the quality of things, but also really charge for them and get really good at explaining ourselves of why it's worth something, why it's not just the same as the generic, you know. Because it has, again, it's a connectivity, and to be able to kind of like know where it came from, and that it's getting paid for what it's worth. I mean, I want to push further into what can it be, and I welcome I welcome all the noise around. Oh my god, that's ridiculous! It's so expensive. Really, is it? I mean, how far have we? Well, for how long have we held coffee down to be like $3 forever? Like it's our right. Um, I'm, you know, this year we're lucky enough to buy a small amount of the winning lot from Best of Panama. It's a natural process geisha. It's the Hartmans that produced it. We were like dear friends of ours, long time
Yeah,
partnership.
I've always had
See them,
Hartman's from Proud Mary's. That's the only
yeah, and to
place I've ever
see
drunk it from.
right, and to see the Hartmans win Best of Panama, it just blindsided everyone. They came out of nowhere and cleaned up the competition. It was really cool to see. But that coffee went and sold for $2,000 a pound. Suzuki Taro bought it from Salsa Coffee in Japan. What a legend! And was happy enough to share some of that coffee. And so we um, bought a pound for Australia and a pound for the US. Not a lot. That'll get us 25 serves in Australia and 25 serves in the US. That's going to cost somewhere around $100 a cup to put that
Yeah.
on the table. So that's something that I'll be selling for like, $150, $200 a cup. That sounds fucking ridiculous,
Mm.
but uh, I bet those people that have that cup of coffee are going to have a really beautiful experience and it's going to be really amazing. And we'll do everything that we can to make sure that it's like a really special moment. I think it should be celebrated. I'm going to ring the bell when someone orders that coffee. I'm going to shout geisha, geisha, geisha. We're all going to clap. I'm going to make that person have an amazing time. And it is a really special coffee. It should be celebrated. It's definitely not just about Panama and geisha and how expensive it can be, but
Mm-hmm.
what a powerful tool for us to learn how beautiful coffee can be and what is the value of it. To me, that allows everything else to come up too, because it's
Will it
not
though?
just Panama.
Will it?
Uh, will
Do
it?
you think it will bring the other coffees up with it?
Yeah, well, I think it has. Actually, I think it has. And is it enough? No. But has it? Yeah, I think it has. I think we have been able to educate um, that coffee should be worth more. And uh, definitely, is it all okay? Have we fixed it? Hell no. Has it come up? Yeah, I think it has. And does it need to come up more? Yes. Um, Again, we're such a small part of the industry. And so I think it's kind of like not only do we need to bring it up, but we need to bring more people in and become a
Mm-hmm.
bigger part of the industry. And then that will bring it up too. It's growing the audience as well as raising the price. Um,
So, do you think specialty coffee is going to expand as an industry as the recession takes hold? Or do you think that people are going to head back to 7-Eleven coffee after they've
hmm,
been drinking specialty?
I mean, I think even during COVID, we saw some crazy shit,
Oh, but that was
and
different. People's balance sheets, the amount of,
sure,
people had extra money to spend then.
not everyone though, well, maybe some did, but it was a lot of unknown though as well.
People who
I think
couldn't
coffee
afford
is
to
one of
drink
those
special,
luxuries. Yeah.
people who couldn't afford to drink, like even baristas were getting money. And I was in the US, I don't know what happened here, but baristas who could never afford to drink like $100 a cup coffees
Yeah.
were all of a sudden getting money from
Yeah.
the government that was 3 times their wages as a barista. So they were able to do things they'd never been able to do
Yeah.
in this industry. Same happened with a lot of other industries. Do you think that now that all of that's going away, do you think that specialty is going to suffer from that? Or do you think that people are going to let go of other luxury
I
products?
I think it's not just coffee that's happening here. I think we've used up most of the world's resources and we're down to like 7.5% left of the planet. I think we're all fucked if we
Yeah.
don't do something about that.
Yeah.
I think the weather that you're seeing, the floods that are happening, the fire that happened, the snow that happened here,
I
I
mean,
don't
it's
think those
wild.
1 in 200 year storms are a surprise. I think in the next 6 months to a year, you're going to see more
Yeah, oh,
around the
100%.
world until we get balance back, and we're out of balance. We've
In
tipped the
in
scale
here as well
everywhere,
as
right? Yeah, and
outside.
so it is a healing for
Yeah.
all, not just like us as human beings, but the planet's pissed. Mother Nature is fucking crying,
Mm.
and so yes, I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on. Whoa, hang on, what am I going to consume? And to me, I mean, living in America is kind of odd, right? It's such a big country with so many people.
It's wild.
There's some really nasty products here that are like really
Oh,
mass
yeah.
produced. And if you don't pay attention to what you're consuming, you're going to get real fat real quick,
And
and
sick.
unhealthy. Yeah, unhealthy, exactly. And you know what? They kind of want you to be sick because then they can sell you medicine.
Yep. 100%.
And that medicine ain't going to heal you.
No.
That's just going to make you feel better for a minute
Yeah.
and keep you on. Like the amount of everyone's on some sort of prescription.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
sad when like plant medicine, for example. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some real healing, some psychedelic
Herbs,
healing. That's interesting.
mushrooms, all of it. Like
Let's
that
actually
was,
deal with the root of the
yeah,
problem.
that was the big gift
Deep
California
seated
gave
trauma.
me, was
Yeah.
actually connecting to plant medicine
Yeah.
and, learning how to use particularly weed as a form of medicine on a ceremonial level.
Sure.
It
Yeah.
was fucking great.
That's
Um,
powerful medicine.
and
It
you
is.
were
It's really
talking to
powerful.
me about how like that was an instrumental part of your healing.
Yeah.
Not
No,
not just weed. I mean
100%. No,
everything. Plant
100%. No,
medicine.
no. I mean psilocybin.
Yeah.
Yeah, MDMA therapy.
Yeah.
And I'm talking therapy, not like
Yeah.
going out and partying. It was sit down and open the heart
Yeah.
and let all that stuff that was sitting there have a chance to speak. It was really beautiful, and then to integrate that into your life, it is really powerful. And then the lack of need for medicine now, or what
Yeah.
we would
It's
call Western medicine, because
awesome.
I'm okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't need to run for myself. I can sit in my own skin and be happy, and that's pretty powerful. So I guess where I was trying to go is that, I mean, I think we need to we will see a spike in prices for all niche industries like bread and cheese and all these things, and these even when small farms and produce comes from, knowing where it comes from, actually being able to have food sources when it all goes to shit. Where do you get your food from? How are
Right.
you going to get it? Sorry, because the supermarket's closed, sweetheart.
Yeah.
So now what are we doing? And
And
so
America's
I
built on
think more
monocropping.
importantly, how are you going to grow food?
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
like, how do we take care of the planet? How do we get into regenerative farming? This stuff's all coming, whether you like it or not, and that'll force us to spend more money on real things, because they won't exist if we don't, and we won't exist if we, you know, um, keep going the way we're going. It has to change.
Yeah. It's going to be wild to see how specialty coffee versus commercial grade coffee, which is essentially monocropped coffee, but how is that going to move forward as time unfolds? Because one of those two things is going to win out. Either the price is going to lead the discussion, or the climate's going to lead the discussion. And I think it's going to be interesting to see which way that goes. But let's head into the next episode and keep the conversation going. Peace, love, and peanut butter, everybody. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in, friends. There are 2 ways you can support this podcast. Firstly, become a paid member of our YouTube channel. Secondly, you can join our Patreon for as little as $3 a month. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video before you leave, and check the show notes for more information. Now, this is what you should check out next.